Good evening, Tri-Valley. Happy New Year. Hope everyone is well. It's 7:10 p.m. Will you please join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, we have a memorial resolution and a moment of silence for Wilson DeMeyer. Whereas Wilson DeMeyer served as Tri-Valley Central School District Board of Education member for 15 years. Whereas Wilson DeMeyer exemplified extraordinary commitment to the students of the Tri-Valley Central School District. And whereas Wilson DeMeyer passed away on December 26, 2021, be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its thanks to Wilson DeMeyer for his service, and be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its sympathy to the family of Wilson DeMeyer at this time of mourning. All right, moving along. Due to the fact that we are virtual this evening, I do need to take a roll call to ensure quorum requirements have been met. Joe Colon.
Here.
Randy McGregor.
Here.
Brent Clark.
Here.
Keith Stryker.
Here.
Rose Woods.
Here.
Danielle Penny Stroop.
Here.
Robert Whitaker.
Here.
And Dr. Bill Silver. Dr. Silver is here, I can assure you.
I am. I was muted up. Sorry.
Next, Board Policy 1230, public participation at board meetings. The Board of Education encourages public participation on school-related matters at board meetings as outlined in this policy. To allow for public participation, a period not to exceed 30 minutes shall be set aside during the first part of each board meeting for public comment, with priority given to comments on items of the meeting's agenda. A second 30-minute time period will be set aside at the end of each board meeting for public comment on matters pertaining to the district, but not on the agenda. These periods may be extended by a majority vote of the board. Persons wishing to address the board shall advise the board president prior to the scheduled start time of the meeting. The request shall be made in writing on a form provided by the district, shall include the name of the speaker, the address, telephone number, name of the organization, if any, and a brief description of the topic to be addressed. Presentation should be as brief as possible. No speaker will be permitted to speak for longer than 5 minutes. The board will not permit in public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Persons making presentations at a board meeting will address remarks to the president and may direct questions or comments to the board member of any other district officials only upon the approval of the president. There was notice put out tonight if anybody wished to address the board to complete a form, and I do not believe anybody completed that form per Norma prior to the board meeting. Moving along, no items of correspondence. We do have some presentations and guests. First, we have Robert Denman. He is our senior in a speech class with Mr. Haynes, and he is going to be discussing the benefits of allowing the high school students access to the playground. So, Robert, if you can unmute, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I would like to give a speech. When the weather was still warm outside, and I looked outside of the windows of our school, or while on a walk to the track, I often saw children playing at our playground. I felt nostalgia, then some envy. Why shouldn't my smiling face join theirs? But I'm not here today to explain to you why you should let me and a select few others on the playground for our own interests. Rather, I would like to explain why it may be in yours and the school's interests as well. Children need play and exercise. The playground offers a solution to these two problems, but it comes with its own unique challenges. Everything has an inherent danger. Our previous playground, while I believe it was degrees better and full of character, was also full of liabilities, that being wood which could crumble and destroy easily. Our new playground, while structurally sound and sturdy, is full of heights and places that most of our teachers, I believe, at this school cannot easily access. Which leads me to my first proposition. Having students participate at the playground as assistants and positive role models for kids. This would ensure that danger would be lowered and control would be maintained because most high school students are more physically able and willing than the average teacher. This would decrease the burden the supervisor has, as they now have an extra pair of hands or pairs of hands to coerce and convince troublesome elementary students. But the teacher will not be the only person benefiting. As my fellow senior classmates and even some junior peers of mine get ready for college, they set career goals for themselves. I know about 4 people already who want to become involved with elementary teaching, many of whom are searching for work and experience. I distinctly remember high school students traveling to the elementary school to give presentations, read books, or just observe. In our current pandemic, however, we should probably search for an alternative. The playground, being outside and full of space, is an opportune place to learn under the tutelage of an experienced teacher. I believe that allowing students to learn what it is like to control an active group of young adults could only benefit them, whether to support their decision or to reveal that their dream may not be for them. Finally, having an active and energetic seniority figure helps to encourage younger students to be more active themselves and to tire themselves out for the rest of their school day. As most young children look up to their seniors and can connect easier with the seniors of their own schools, allowing them to interact with high schoolers would make fun memories. Having the opportunity to participate at the playground can also be motivation for many high school students. By restricting the ability to be present at the playground under adult supervision to high-achieving groups such as Honor Society or other specific clubs, the playground and the nostalgia that comes with remembering days where students had air breaks rather than no breaks can push students to work harder in their school days. I believe that allowing high school students to be at the playground, the burden of the student supervisor will be decreased, the experience of the elementary student will be greater, and the motivation to be a better high school student will rise. I hope that the board takes this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. All right, next we have Vanya Kodakowski, who is speaking about the importance of maintaining the quality of gym basketball floor. So it's all yours, Vanya.
All right, thank you. Okay. The best time of the year comes around and the official start of the basketball season is announced. You go to your first week of tryouts, but you have to wear your basketball shoes from last year. Your old sneakers have no grip at all, so the whole week you just keep slipping on our gym floor. The 6-day-long tryout ends, and you find out that you made the team. Now it is time to go buy brand new basketball sneakers. You're excited to get new shoes because you'll finally have more grip and you won't be slipping on the floor, causing a turnover. Go to your first official practice, put on your brand new shoes, and get on the court to test them out. All to find out that you are still slipping just as bad as last week. Now you are really wondering what the problem is. After doing some research and playing my first game this season at Livingston Manor, I finally realized what our problem was. It is that our gym floor isn't being maintained properly. Manor's gym floor was spotless and was recently waxed, while our gym floor is extremely dusty and is losing all of its colors, slowly but surely. We can easily turn this around and transform our floor back to how it once was. All we have to do is incorporate some simple maintenance procedures. First, I would suggest mopping the floor at least once a week or even every day if possible. Although we cannot use the same mop water as we use for the hallways because that water is already filthy and mopping the gym floor with that water would just make it even worse. We want to use clean water, and if we are feeling super clean, we can add some floor cleaner mix. No, we don't need to use fancy chemicals that smell like oranges or pineapples. All we need is a neutral pH floor cleaner. Now, I know that mopping the entire gym floor would take an eternity for one person to do. That is why we can use one of those cool driving floor cleaners that I've seen Mr. Duck drive around in. All of this mopping can also be done in a faster amount of time if we have doormats by all of the entrances and make the kids rub their feet on the mat before they step onto the court. The less dust and debris we have seep into our floors, the less work we have to do to it. Secondly, we need to cover our floor with a cleaner coat. I know that these past few years have been difficult with the pandemic and the construction throughout our school, so I know it could be hard to schedule a time for the cleaner coat to be applied. Or our budget may not allow for this procedure to be done. Because we haven't applied a cleaner coat to our main gym floor in a while, I think that it is past due. It is recommended to do this every single year, but if we take care of our floor by mopping it and cleaning it, as I described before, then we will save time and money and not have to apply a cleaner coat every single year. So, taking care of our floor and applying a cleaner coat as soon as possible will not only give me and the team the satisfaction of a good grip on the floor, but it will also prevent injuries due to slippage. After this cleaner coat, if we maintain the floor, we will also not have to spend as much money and we will just lengthen the longevity of the gym floor. I'm here asking for more information about this procedure and if you could take action and make it happen. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Vanya. We did have a third speaker who opted to come to our next board meeting. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Board appreciates you coming out, even though we're virtual and not speaking in public in the secondary school library. So again, thank you very much. And, bravo to Mr. Haynes for encouraging you to participate tonight. All right, next we have our rollover budget presentation from Mr. Whitaker.
Happy 2022, everyone. You can all hear me, I hope.
Yes.
Okay. Just quick definition of my methodology in a rollover budget. There are a variety of different manners in which you can address it. I try to consistently do it what I consider 100% rollover budget, which means what we know at the start of this school year would be the same as we roll into next year. An example of that would be if I was intending to retire as of June 30th, but I roll myself into the next year's budget, because as we're sitting here today, we do not know who will be taking what positions and what we'll be doing for next year. So it's a true rollover budget. It does not incorporate breakage, which would be a lesser salary than mine, but it gives us a starting point as we move forward. It also may be seen as part of it's a shock to a statement, but it shows you where we would be if nothing changed from this year to next year. So with that being said, in the world of technology, let's see if I can present you something. A window. Show. Okay. Let's see. Come on. You got that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the intro for the budget for the 22-23 school year. I call it what we know today and what we assume. 97% of our employees have approved collective bargaining agreements as we head into the following school year. So what we will see is an increase of salaries of just over $450,000, an increase of health insurance of about $525,000, and I'll get back to that on the next screen. Retirement contributions of $64,500 and FICA and Medicare increases of $38,500. So in our salary and benefits alone, we're seeing an increase of a little over $1 million. One thing I like to always remind people is for every dollar of salary increase, it actually equals about $1.22 when you take into account retirement, FICA, Medicare, and the other associated add-ons to that. Talking about our variables and some assumptions. Currently, the teachers' retirement system rate increase for our contribution rate is to go up 0.70%. which will bring it up to 10.5%, which is a pretty modest increase. The employees' retirement system is to go up 1.60%, up to 16.2%. Historically, the ERS rate has always been higher than the TRS rate. Also remember that most ERS salaries are less than TRS salaries. So I have to do a lot of speculating. We just had our recent health insurance increase on 1/1 of 22, which averaged about 12%. It had been very flat for the past 2 years. Was this a sign of increases in the future? So as I will develop the budget and that insurance number you saw earlier screen, I'm estimating a 1/1/23 health increase of 17.5%. It might be high, but that's where I'm starting as we speak today. A couple of other things what are the variables and assumptions? We participate in the DCMO fuel bid every year. That fuel bid is to be open January 21st, I believe. So currently, as we did the rollover, I estimated a 7.5% increase. Last year, the increase was 3.8%, but as we start the year, once again, in my conservative nature, I'm estimating a little higher. The good news with that is that that figure will be known by the end of the month, and as we move into February, we can make our adjustments accordingly. The next one is the CPI increase factor. This CPI for quite a few years has been, relatively docile. Last year, it went up to about 3.1%. Current estimates are all over the place, and the CPI increase factor comes out in June. I'm looking at 3.8 to 5.8% increase. What does that actually affect? Our transportation contract with Rolling V has a CPI increase factor built into it, as do most transportation contracts. So that can have a huge impact on the cost of our transportation. Additionally, the price that we pay our food service vendor per meal has a CPI increase factor. So these are written into contracts, and these are something that we just have to live with as we move forward. So, we have to estimate, put a dollar value to it, and move forward. So looking at some non-salary increases, I'm estimating contract transportation to go up anywhere between $94,500 and $175,000 based on the CPI variable. Fuel right now for buses and heat, $39,500. But in the utilities areas, I have an estimated decrease of $15,000. We are currently finishing up parts of our EPC energy performance contract, which related quite a bit to lighting. We should see, based upon the projections from the EPC that were given to us, a nice savings annually. This $15,000, I kind of hope it's going to be a lot more than that, but once again, I do a very conservative start to my estimating. The bad news. So the current projected increase in our overall budget would run between just under $1.2 million to just over $1.278 million, which would put our total budget somewhere between $36,300,000 and $36,450,000. That represents a total increase over this year's budget, approximately 3.4 to 3.63%. Now, if no other revenue streams would increase at all, that means that our tax levy increase to fund that budget would be between 5.70 and 6.09%. My current tax cap estimate is 2.34%. Most of the determining factors have yet to be released. There's 3 figures from the state that come out that help you assist in your estimate for your tax cap estimate. Those numbers should be finalized by the end of January or early February. So what this all really means is we currently have a tax gap of $750,000 heading into a rollover budget. So there's enough bad news, okay? Because I'm not a bad news type of guy, but a rollover budget usually will start looking like one. But good news is coming. Over the past 2 years, through the Board of Education, our administrative team, and decision-making based upon where the economy of the country and the state is, we have a fund balance that is above 4%. We have the option of applying some additional balance monies towards the budget. State aid projections, right now, as I said earlier, the revenue stream was basically zero everywhere else. We were just talking about tax money to make up the difference that will be short. So state aid projections, I know the governor gave her state of the state report today. There has been no report yet. Usually within a day or two, state aid runs come out, and we'll be able to project those more as we move in through the process here. As you're all aware, the federal government has earmarked quite a bit of money to help out schools, counties, municipalities, citizens everywhere across the country with what we call ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 money. This money can be used to fill any gaps that we see as we're developing our budget. And actually, the fun part of the budgeting is our collaborative work for savings is yet to begin. We've had conversations with our supervisors and our administrative team to develop our budget for the year, always keeping in mind that student needs are to drive what we really go for the budget. So even though it's a pretty gloom and doom the first 4 or 5, I feel very comfortable today telling you that the good news is coming. As more information starts coming in between bids, state budgets, working with our team, I think we'll be able to collaboratively work and develop a budget that will be not only one that will be beneficial and meet our student needs, but also be friendly to our taxpayers. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one question, Bob.
Yeah.
The ESSER funds, aren't they have specific guidelines that we have to follow related to COVID, or no longer?
They do have, there's a wider range, I think 17 or 18 parameters, different areas where we have. What they can be used to fill gaps is when we're talking about student needs, like if we need whatever, a certain position, a certain software system, certain things, we're able to use a lot of that through ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 because it is geared towards the recouping of education in a variety of manners. So, and Deb Kelly and Dr. Silver and the whole administrative team work heavily looking at the parameters there. And, it's money that my great-grandchildren will be paying for that someday, but it is money that's well spent right now as we use it. And I think we've been very diligent about, and we've had a lot of conversations about what's the best way to use the money that has the most impact. So, but it's there.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? I thank you very much. And unfortunately, you'll see more of me in the coming weeks.
Always a pleasure, Bob.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, next we have our superintendent's report, Dr. Silver.
I have a bunch of things tonight. I'll start with attendance. Before Christmas, our average attendance at the secondary school is about 81%, and at the elementary school about 83%, except for the week when the elementary school was completely remote, and then they were 56%. So using those as benchmarks, this week the elementary school was at 75% basically all for the first 3 days and 77% today. The secondary school went the opposite route. It was 79%, and today's down to 72%. So we're running about 10 points lower than we did before the holiday, but still significantly more than when we were on total virtual learning. Number of kids who are excluded either through quarantine or isolation was, again, using before the holidays as a benchmark. So December 16th, there were 65 kids who were out. On Tuesday, we had 52 out. So that was actually better, but that's exploded. Today we have 118 kids out today. And what I can say is that there's the vast majority of them were exposed at home over the end of the holiday season. There's a relatively small number where the exposures were actually happened in school or on the bus. So that's something we need to pay attention to. Diane, I know, is very concerned about just the whole county. The number of new cases is really high. And so she's anticipating these numbers will get bigger before they get smaller. The silver lining is that with Omicron, it appears that it's a steep curve and it comes down fairly quickly also. So we're looking probably another week or two of high numbers, and then they should fall off pretty quickly. One way we can mitigate some of this is with what's called test to stay. So if kids are exposed in school, then we, as compared to at home, we can allow them to stay in school. And the way that works is they need to be asymptomatic. The exposure needs to have been in school. They have to have been masked well before the exposure, and then they're tested 3 times within 7 days with just a regular home testing kit, and that keeps them in school. If they test positive, they have to leave, but if they stay negative, because right now with exposure, kids are automatically put out in quarantine. So there are about 20 or 25 kids in this list of 118 that we have who are exposed in school that probably would still be able to stay in school if we had tests to stay. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the meeting, but I just want to give you the context of that within the whole attendance number bit. The second thing I wanted to mention was the capital project and where we're going with that. A lot of work was done over the Christmas break. Not quite as much as we had hoped, but a bunch of things were done. The 2 science rooms are almost completed. There's still some odds and ends, but that's largely done. The elementary school kitchen is completely done. The elementary school office has a few minor things, but the drop-down door is now in place. So that, and the wiring is in for the copy machine, which had missing. So we're a lot further ahead there. The secondary school entrance, well, that's still a work in progress. All the wiring has been done for the security features, so that's good. They've insulated the ceiling, that's good. Some of the glass that we thought was in apparently was not in, and so that really wasn't fixed very much. The security booth has a door now, so that's good. That's good news, though. The ceiling of that isn't in yet. So some good progress. Oh, and the elementary school cafeteria lighting is all done. It's a big difference. It's really lovely. So what's coming up is over the long Martin Luther King weekend, they plan on doing the high school vestibule doors. If they come in like they're supposed to, hopefully the rest of the punch list, and a couple of other things that really are just minor. Spring break in April, they're going to do finish the vestibule, take on the curtain wall. They don't want to do that in the winter for obvious reasons, and that's a 3 or 4 day project all by itself. They plan on 2.5 days, but they're always running into trouble. The remaining doors, the high school cafeteria walls where the TVs are supposed to go should get done, and the elementary school gym ceiling. So that's the current phase. Bids are out on the street for the second phase, the bathrooms and the home ec room, and the 2 gym spaces, cardio and weight rooms. So, bid opening is on January 26th. So right now they're fielding questions and everything else they need to do with that. So we're making progress slowly, but we're making it. We started the testing of staff members who are not vaccinated this week, finally. So we did that yesterday and today. There were a little under 50 people who we tested, and it's the quick, and everyone was negative, which was good also. So that's where we are there. I want to do a shout out for Danielle Cornish, She and her team have produced a suicide intervention manual, which is very complete, both pre and post. So staff now have resources and protocols to follow if kids express suicide ideations or other crisis kinds of issues. And Bob mentioned the governor's address today. The detail will come out with the budget, which is has to be produced by the 17th of the month. But some of the school-related things was she reaffirmed the commitment to fully fund the foundation aid. I'll believe that when I see it. She's doing several things to deal with the teacher shortage, including waiving the income cap for retirees, expanding alternative certification programs, accelerating the teacher certification process, increasing the staff at state ed that does the certification, and financial support for paraprofessionals and teaching assistants who want to become teachers. So that's all positive for us. She's looking to have mental health grants and extended year grants to help school districts deal with the issues kids are dealing with, both learning needs and emotional needs. And what else? Expanded access to college level courses outside of the AP and IB models. So this will create dual associate's degree programs and high school diploma programs and things like that. And money for green buildings and green buses. So she set a goal that all new buses will be zero emission by 2027, and all buses on the roads will be zero emissions by 2035. So it's fairly aggressive. It's just putting a lot of money into that. And finally, money to expand broadband in rural areas, which would help us as well. And the only other thing I mentioned was tests to stay. And I've kind of gone over that with you. So when it comes up on the agenda, if you have more questions, we can talk about it then. And that's it, Madam.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Dr. Silver? All right, thank you very much. Moving along, are there any items the board wishes pulled from tonight's consent agenda? Okay, with that, I need a motion and a second. Motion Keith, second Joe. Please proceed to vote yes by raising your right hand. That is unanimous, Norma. Next, we have policy number 1230, public comment at board meetings, second reading and adoption. Need a motion and a second. Motion Rose, second Danielle. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your right hand. That is also unanimous, Norma. Okay, items of old business. There are no items of old business. No public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. We do have an announcement sent home with most of our students today, and there was also a robocall. The board is looking for community involvement in seeking our next superintendent. We're asking the community to please go onto our website, and under the board tab at the top, you'll see superintendent search. There's a survey monkey that we are looking to have your input on. We're asking that you respond by January 21st so we can utilize that information. We're asking that you select most important characteristics for our next superintendent. The instructions are pretty self-explanatory on that survey monkey. We are polling the board to try to find availability for community forums in February. So once we have that information, there will be community forums that we have done in the past. During our last super search, we will be meeting with our faculty and staff in one group, and then we'll be meeting with our administration in another group. And then one evening, we will be opening up the school to our community so we can discuss what you seek for our next superintendent. So those dates will be forthcoming. They will go out on robocall, and they will be linked on our website as well as advertised in the Townsman. We're trying to reach as many people as we can. So if you see the information, if you could share it with your friends, neighbors, and family, we would appreciate it. Any other items to discuss for announcements, reminders, or upcoming events, Dr. Silver? I don't think so either.
I don't have any.
All right, next we have new business, contract amendment phase 2 for SWBR and contract amendment for LaChase Construction. We were reviewing the numbers, and the board believes that the numbers seem a little high still. So we would like Bob and Bill to have a conversation with you, both Corey and Dave, in the next week or two to discuss it before we vote on it, and hopefully put it on the agenda for the next board meeting, which I believe is at the 17th of January, Bill?
The 20th.
The 20th. I apologize. I've been a little out of it for the last couple of days, but we're going to review the numbers. I mean, we're just so dissatisfied with the progress of phase 1 that I'm sure you can understand with the delay in materials and supplies and manpower, which everyone is facing across the nation. But we just want Bob and Bill to kind of go over those numbers with you once again before we vote on it on the 20th. Anybody else have any other concerns that you wish to share or questions for Corey or Dave? Taking that as a no. So Dave, are you and Corey available on the 20th to join us again for discussion?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
All right. We appreciate it. All right. Next, change order for main entrance pavers. Although very aesthetically pleasing, we want to remove the logo in the pavers. We are in agreement, I think, for the most part. We'll vote on it to change the landscape so that it is all hardscaped with the pavers. But we just believe it's, more it's a tax savings and a savings for our taxpayers and our community to not include that logo, because in all honesty, it's probably going to change in 10 or 15, 20 years. So we're just trying to keep things as cheap and appealing for our public. And it would be great to have that bear paw when you first come in and the entrance, but we don't think it's necessary. So I'm going to make a motion to move forward with the change order for the main entrance pavers, excluding the logo from the entrance. I need a motion and a second. Motion Rose, second Randy. Any discussion further? Okay, please proceed to vote yes by raising your right hand. Norma, that is unanimous. All right, next, the test to stay resolution. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the test to stay resolution as proposed to the attached agenda. I need a motion and a second. Motion Keith, second Rose. Any discussion?
Yeah, I feel that the test to stay is a violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, and I will be voting no.
Okay.
I will also be voting no.
Randy and Joe will be voting no. Okay, so all in favor, please vote. Raise your hand, right hand, yes. So voting yes is Danielle, Rose, Keith, and myself, Norma. Voting no, please raise your right hand, is Joseph Colon and Randy McGregor. All right, moving forward, it is 4-2. Test to stay resolution is approved. There is no need for an executive session this evening. I need a motion and a
Excuse me,
second.
Carrie.
Sure.
To pass the resolution, you need a majority of the whole board. So you would need 5 votes to pass.
If I was to, so we'll just include it in the next agenda.
Sure.
Norma, please make a note to include the test to stay resolution in the agenda on the 20th. All right. Any other questions, comments in regards to test to stay? All right, no need to enter into an executive session. So we need a motion and a second to adjourn. Motion, Randy, second, Joe. I'm sure no discussion. Please raise your right hand to vote. Yes, that is unanimous. Thank you, Corey and Dave, for attending this evening. With no further business, at 7:49 p.m. Be well, Tri-Valley. A couple more weeks. Hopefully the worst will be behind us. Happy New Year, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.